So some of the barriers I've come up against have been around things such as lighting in business premises, which do affect me, depending on the type of lighting that can quite have a significant impact.
Within the police especially at the moment, there's been a big move to open plan offices, hot desking and agile working. So most of the time, in theory, when you go into an office, wherever you're working, you don't know where you're going to sit. You don't know if somebody's going to be sitting where you would normally sit or where you want to sit. So there's an unknown every day of the week when you walk in.
So one of the barriers in the workplace can be around the sensory environment. That might be to do with strip lighting, or it could be loud noises, it could be busy offices which are open plan, it could be even the carpet or what's on the walls. And these things relate to how one might process that sensory information. For some autistic individuals, that can sometimes lead to what's called a sensory overload, where all of that information is being processed all at once. And that might be alongside having to process social information and communicate in ways which maybe are unfamiliar or difficult at times. Sometimes that's called a meltdown, and is an experience where autistic people can very often find it's too much, and it's both an emotional and a physical experience, which can be very distressing in the workplace.
I can generally feel if there's a meltdown coming, if I'm sitting at a desk there and I can feel this about to happen, it's really hard to then go to someone who maybe you're next in line, or your line manager or something like that, to say to them, I feel like I'm about to meltdown, because they don't know what a meltdown is. It's seen as a tantrum or something, and adults in the workplace don't have tantrums. There
can be other barriers as well, such as the whole social aspect of being in work, having to have conversations with your colleagues, or if, for example, you work in retail or face-to-face with customers in another way. Just having to mask being autistic is exhausting, and that builds up. You can get through the day most of the time by masking and hiding that you're autistic in a way.
Masking basically involves putting on a show for neurotypical people. A lot of autistic people, at least in my experience, I feel as though I make neurotypical people uncomfortable sometimes just by being me, and I've learned over the years how not to be myself for their sake, so that they don't feel weird around me. And it is exhausting. It is really tiring, especially when you're in the workplace, because you've got other things you need to be doing.
We'll often mask at work for several reasons. One might be they've not disclosed that they're autistic. Another could be to fit in with the colleagues and peers and employers. Another reason could be because they're working with customers and that they're trying to hide their true selves, which is exhausting. And it can be very, very demanding physically and mentally, and it takes its toll after a while.
Some autistic people can struggle knowing exactly what is expected of them in the workplace, and that might be in terms of working practices, that might be about the day-to-day routine, and that might also be about the social expectations.
I did have 20 years in a very structured environment in the military. I became an officer in the Royal Air Force, and that structure gave me something which I fitted into quite easily, and I didn't have to try. It was always, it was easy picking clothes out in the morning. I didn't have to choose. So a lot of life was simplified in many respects. So it allowed me to concentrate on my thought processes, my way of working, to actually focus on its strengths. I mean, a lot of that routine simplified life and allowed me to concentrate. When things have become more complex, I can reflect now that perhaps there are times when there's been too much going on, and I found that difficult, whereas I didn't kind of get that. It was a very single focus you had in a military environment. You had a job to do, a task to do, and you went out and you did that. Then the next job, please.